And we were also hoping to move the camera over a little bit too, so it was a little bit more centered. Otherwise, we can move our chairs, but we were just hoping to be able to.
So it's off right now, so turn it on. Forward, advance.
Okay, perfect.
Or forward and back.
Do you want me to
if
go
you
up there
need
and
to
test
back.
it with?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you know if it's possible to put those screens down too? No. It's not?
We can only have that one.
Which one is it going to go on?
It's going to be the center, right on the
Oh, okay. Thank you. It's only going to be on this one. Oh. Yeah. Oh. So hopefully it gets some.
I know. Should I move? I feel like, should we move the podium?
I mean, if you want to go a little
Finding a place to belong is everything.
just move a little bit over if you want to move.
It's where you can make a difference, where you're heard, where you have a team that supports you, and the benefits you deserve.
Yeah. So I'm like, I can go on this side.
At Avera, you can find that place. You belong at Avera. Apply today. Avera.org/careers.
Sioux Falls is home to many things: locally owned businesses, an unmatched work ethic, and a community of leaders dedicated to growth and innovation. Powered by over 300 investors, Forward Sioux Falls is an advancement program aimed at enhancing the Sioux Falls economy. 2026 initiatives are well underway, focusing on talent retention, business attraction, and quality of place enhancement. Look to the future with Forward Sioux Falls.
Do you want to shape and lead the future? Walk with us.
It's the team, the space, and the place that's gonna get you where you wanna be. It's USD.
The Greater Sioux Falls Chamber of Commerce didn't start our thriving business community. That was done by individuals driven to create their dreams.
The Chamber does a lot with advocacy for businesses.
The Chamber is always looking to connect other people to your business.
So we joined right away, and we've been a member ever since.
The Greater Sioux Falls Chamber of Commerce, we're standing at your side when nothing's gonna stand in your way.
What's affordable to her might not be for him. Our means may be different, but our need for energy is the same. And keeping the price for that energy as low as possible is exactly what we strive to do. It's what we've always done. Investments made 10 years ago have kept prices nearly unchanged. Investments made today will help keep prices predictable for the future, with energy that's cleaner, reliable, and affordable for all. An energy future that's American-made, mid-American, obsessively, relentlessly at your service.
In a world where life moves quickly and education comes in many forms, we believe there is still value in personal relationships, affordable, quality academics, and a supportive, Christ-centered environment. As the University of Sioux Falls looks to the future, we embrace what makes us different. If you're looking for a transformational experience, there is a difference. And that difference is here.
Here, we believe in doing good, even in small ways. In ways nobody sees and only a few notice. We do good in all the details. Through all the difficulties, we do good with every appointment, every conversation, every treatment. We do good for every person. Because no matter what we do here, we're making a difference. And it takes all of us to change somebody's life. Now think of all the good you could do if you join us.
There's something special about the people of Sioux Falls. It's home to go-getters, cultivators, and doers. Sioux Falls is a place where you can pursue your life and your purpose. You can slow down with your family or pick up the pace of your professional growth. It's that hard work, small town feel, close to the land, know your neighbor, endless possibilities that bring people here. Find out for yourself what a difference this state can make. Visit SiouxFalls.com/work, where over 40 of Sioux Falls' top businesses are hiring right now for people like you.
The #1 city for best small places for business and careers according to Forbes magazine, Sioux Falls.
Work Sioux Falls.
ZipRecruiter's #3 hottest job market, Sioux Falls.
Work Sioux Falls.
Over 40 businesses are hiring right now.
Work Sioux Falls.
That's why the Sioux Falls Development Foundation created Work Sioux Falls, a local resource that gives job seekers an inside track to jobs that are open right now.
Work Sioux Falls.
See the difference a local company can make in your career. Visit SiouxFalls.com/work.
It's not just the natural beauty, the outdoor playground, or the top-rated quality of life that puts our state on the map. Sioux Falls is also home to some of the most innovative and cutting-edge healthcare businesses in the country that attract worldwide pioneers in healthcare. Visit SiouxFalls.com/work to browse healthcare positions on all levels, from RNs to scientists, to business development and HR, among many others. Come find out why a healthcare career in Sioux Falls is your next move. Visit SiouxFalls.com/work to find your perfect fit. If you're ready to grow your career with the right company, Sioux Falls is the place to be. Sioux Falls is home to some of the fastest growing manufacturing, healthcare, and financial institutions that have their footprints all over the world. Be a part of something special, something growing, something that makes your short and long-term career goals possible. Sioux Falls businesses need you. Visit SiouxFalls.com/work to learn more about over 45 businesses hiring right now. That's SiouxFalls.com/work.
All right, Lindsay, it's great talking to you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'll see you Saturday. Okay, bye. All right, Maya, what should we do next? I know.
All right, good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us today. Did we get this? Yeah, let's switch places real quick and see if that will.
Did it get turned off? Nope, it's on.
Please hold.
It was just working. So while we're figuring out our clicker, we are going to use some technology today called Slido. So that requires a smartphone. If you don't have a smartphone, the door is there. And no, I'm just kidding. So we're going to have you guys scan a QR code that's going to come up on our screen, and it will be an interactive polling feature that we're going to use a handful of times as we're having a discussion with you guys today, okay? It's our little chance to plug into you guys here, bring some collective voice forward, as well as our online participants as well, so we get kind of a really good thumbprint of perspectives as we're having this discussion today.
I might just go up and continue on. Okay. We're just going to chat while they figure out the PowerPoint. So,
fantastic.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, where we're going to talk about empathy-driven leadership for high-performing teams. In today's keynote, we heard from Ben Utecht about the power of having a positive culture in your organization. I'm a part of a family business, Auto Body Specialties, and I'm a third-generation family member. And when we talk about our company, we talk to our employees and the community that it is not our family that is the face of our company, but it is our delivery drivers, our warehouse workers, and our sales team that are out with our customers every single day. So building an intentional culture that allows employees to thrive is really important to our team. And so today we're going to dive in a little bit more about why building that intentional culture can actually lead to increased success for your organization. So we have some goals today, apart from just getting SHRM credit. Talking about some of these goals, for me, in driving an intentional culture in our company, I always enjoy hearing our employees make statements such as, I look forward to coming to work every day. You make work fun. The best part about my job is my coworkers. This culture of empathy-driven leadership will help your organization achieve increased success. And so I'm excited to be joined here today with Jennifer Schmidbauer, owner of Crestcom South Dakota, and Robin Ewalt, professional leadership development consultant with Avera Health. Jennifer and Robin will be continuing the message today, sharing how as leaders, empathetic leadership can launch our teams to increased productivity and a culture of collaboration. Now, we were going to have 2 questions to kind of dive us into today's topic through Slido, but I'm hoping maybe we can just have some honest participation. So the first question that we were going to ask today was if at one point in time in your workplace, or if there's high schoolers, maybe you're experiencing this in high school with a teacher or with peers, at one point in time, have you ever felt misunderstood in the workplace?
Raise your hand.
Right? Yeah. Right? There's so many ways that can be seen. Maybe you shared an idea with a team member, but they quickly interrupted you. Perhaps you were trying to share a topic or an idea with someone, and they were replying to an email, or maybe pulled out their phone and started texting someone, right? We can see that pretty frequently. Our second question, to kind of get us into this topic, is at one point in time, have you ever not felt trusted to complete a task in the workplace? Right? Pretty common feeling. And again, that can be seen in multiple ways. Maybe you were tasked with a project and someone came in and kind of took it over, and you weren't really sure if you were not doing a good job, or that maybe they felt that they could do it better. Perhaps you were given a project, but you received limited information, and so you felt like you really couldn't dive into that topic. This is a feeling that's very common in the workplace, and empathy can prevent this misunderstanding and lack of trust that we see. So Jen and Robin will be sharing their knowledge of what empathy can look like in the workplace through trust, empowerment, and active listening. So I'm excited to turn this conversation over to Robin and ask her, what are employees currently looking for in the workplace today?
Yeah, fantastic. So Abby, I just appreciate you bringing the voice of your people forward, small hometown business, right, Midwest, and understanding what connects for retention and engagement, and they get it. You can tell if those are the kinds of things that you're hearing. So I think that's mission critical, and I just want to appreciate you for bringing that conversation forward. I also love her questions that she was going to tantalize us with on Slido. It looks like we're moving in the right direction, but we're not quite there yet. Because it brings our collective experience forward, right? We all agreed as we were preparing for this conversation, we want this to be very conversational. We want this to be you guys bringing your thoughts and insights forward as well. And by the way, I don't know if you pick up any nuggets along the way. It connects really closely to the first 2 sessions. We've heard a lot of similarities in the things we're going to bring forward. So if anything, this is just a chance for us as a group here to go down the rabbit hole a little bit in some of these discussions too. So looks like we're... Oh, there we go. Yeah, so Gallup's State of the Workplace 2023, this has been mentioned a couple of times today, has told us that belonging remains a key driver for retention and engagement. And cultures of belonging are not articulated without empathy. But what is empathy? What does that even look like? What is empathy-driven leadership? This topic might feel a little woo-woo, a little soft. Does that feel a little soft for you, maybe? Yeah. So this morning, this term came up, and I was thinking about it as I was listening to the discussions at the first session, and then listening to Ben bring some of these contents forward too, that soft skills, right? That's kind of the bucket of soft skills. And I really don't like that terminology. I really prefer human skills. Simon Sinek, Start With Why, Leaders Eat Last, The Infinite Game, coined this just a few years ago. And a few years ago, we had a big thing happen that still is feeling the ripple effect. I am very careful in the spaces that I dwell in healthcare because it is a little bit trauma-inducing when I'm talking about it. But the big thing is that we learned a lot from COVID, and we learned that we're humans at the end of the day, right? We need to connect with one another. And so that's our opportunity here today to bring this discussion forward to you guys, that we're connected in the humanity. We cannot forgo the humanity as we discuss empathetic leadership. So our foundations, our table stakes that we're talking about today are building trust, specifically vulnerability-based trust. So empathy environments are safe to share. If you are sharing with me and I stay out of judgment as I am with you in your muck and mire, whatever you might be going through, I create safe space for you to continue to share with me. Also, if I'm willing to admit a mistake or I'm willing to ask for help, I create a culture within my team that allows them to do that as well. Compassion, this is our values connection. I've heard this mentioned several times today as well. We need to connect with people and their values. In my experience in the realm that we work in talent development in Avera, anybody who has tenure with our organization who's been around a while, I will have a conversation with them, and it always bubbles up the values. My personal values align well with the values, the mission, the purpose of this organization. I believe in what we do. And if I'm not connecting to that, if I don't understand that as a leader, I'm going to have a hard time connecting to that empathy and how this relates to this discussion as well. Emotional intelligence, I know this is a little buzzy, right? This is a little kitschy word. But the fact is the data is still coming in. It's streaming in. There's so much support for this. We're going to talk a little bit more today about self-awareness in the emotional intelligence realm than anything, but I think that's a really important, understanding your own tendencies in your interactions with people. You're a fixer. Who's my fixers? Where are my fixers? Yeah, it's okay. This is a safe space. We want to fix when someone comes to me with their stuff, right? We're like, oh, have you tried this? What about this? We're all, automatically trying to help offer some solutions, and sometimes maybe some self-awareness would serve us. We need to step back and maybe just listen a little bit, maybe ask a really good question. And a lot of times power in the moment is just to acknowledge the emotion in the moment, and that's what's needed. So helping us to understand those things. Brene Brown says that empathy is a choice, and it's a vulnerable one. She told me I could give that to you, so if you want to write that down, no, I'm just kidding. She doesn't know me. I know her, but she doesn't know me. Vulnerability or empathy is a vulnerable choice because we have to draw on our own experience. We have to draw something in our lived experience that connects to the muck and the mire that you're going through right now. So that connects us. That's our humanity in that moment, all right? Big thing today, we want you to come away with some tactical things. What does it look like? What does it feel like? What does it sound like? And Jen's gonna get into our toolbox for you guys today. We're in really great hands with her because this is her wheelhouse. But again, we want you to participate. We want you to be involved, okay? So Jen, let's get into those tools.
All right, thank you, Robin. So there are a lot of different aspects of empathy-based leadership that we can focus on, but we chose 3 elements in particular today: active listening, empowerment, and a culture of feedback. And the reason we selected these was they're important on their own, but working together, they can be very powerful. In fact, they can be the flywheel for workplace transformation. And we're going to start with active listening. You know, all 3 of these are best supported and achieved when you have those table stakes that Robin talked about. So active listening, I'm guessing you've all heard the term, probably know a little bit about it. This one is really mission critical to feed forward the next 2 elements. And when we create active listening, when we engage in active listening, we really create a true 2-way, non-competitive interaction with each other. And there's some really nice benefits of that. First of all, it reduces conflict because we understand people's point of view, we've got more clarity, and we reduce misunderstanding. And that really creates a stronger relationship with the other person. We have a deeper connection. And that'll set the stage for better problem solving and collaboration. When you really hear someone, you can, and create space for that, you can root cause problems, you can create solutions to move forward much better. So active listening is really the first step that is going to feed these other elements. I want to throw a question out to the audience. And do we have chocolate somewhere for people who?
Yes, we do. Riley has some
Riley
in the back.
Yeah. So how would you demonstrate to someone that you are actively listening?
And if you would
What
like to
verbal and nonverbal? Hey, got to volunteer. Eye contact.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. What other thoughts? Yeah, not interrupting, listening, having that patience for some silence.
He wants
Excellent.
chocolate back there.
Yes, yeah. Who has the chocolate? We need to get that out here. Oh, yes. And I'm repeating for the people online. Yeah, minimizing distractions, giving full attention, being fully present in the conversation.
Yeah, right here.
Body language, leaning in. Yeah, there are verbal and nonverbal tactics that will really show someone we're listening. And, you know, kind of related to the presence, stop the daydreaming and the squirrels in our heads, right? Really lean in and participate. During the conversation, you want to make sure that you're withholding judgment. You also want to ask open-ended questions and validate what the other person is saying. So it's really getting deep in each other's point of view. And if you're a formal leader of others, and if you're the formal leader in that conversation, it's always good to conclude those conversations with a review of what you heard and what's next. So at the end of the conversation to say, okay, this is what I heard, and summarize that. Reiterate what actions that you agreed to, and set a timeline for review. And then it always is nice to say again, what else do you need from me? What else can I do to help?
I love that, Jen, because I also feel like it creates space for that person to say, no, I also said this, or I also meant that, or give that opportunity for correction, because that really allows that person to feel heard and connected in the moment. So, and the follow-up, I think, is really big too, because it's important enough. We've spent this time to have this conversation. It's important to me that we carry it forward. Depending on the subject, depending on what's going on, that connection point is valid.
Yeah, thank you for that. So with active listening, we've then set the stage for our next element, which is empowerment. Because when you've actively listened, you've now understood the other person's point of view. You know where their strengths and desires are. You understand where maybe their hesitations are, and perhaps even some limitations they might have. And as a leader, when you know this, when you know what a person's personal and professional goals are, you can best support them in their development. And as a leader, if you can tie someone's personal and professional goals and empower them to help the company succeed through that, you really create high performance and engagement with your teams. So it's that connection. Empowerment is essentially letting people achieve their goals and the expectations of your company in the way they best see fit. And it's a critical part of accountability, because how can you be accountable if you aren't empowered? So what barriers to empowerment has anybody experienced? Anybody willing to share?
And remember, there's candy involved, so.
Either your team, your organization, a prior organization, any barriers?
All right, we got one back here.
Either feeling threatened, someone feeling threatened, or just a lack of support.
Yeah, the response was feeling threatened or a lack of support. Absolutely. That's a big one.
Territorialism.
Territorialism, yeah.
It's very big.
Trust, yeah. Actually, all of those responses relate a lot to trust, trust of giving up, maybe my power territory, fear that maybe I can't be trusted, that sort of thing. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So do we want to talk a little bit how leaders can create trust?
Yes, absolutely.
Or, I'm sorry, empowerment?
If you want to participate in the Slido,
Yep,
point your phone at that QR code, should bring it up. You just need to enter this passcode, which I know for some of you in the back, if you're like me and have old lady eyeballs, is UDOTSW. And as we're discussing this, you guys can participate on this question too.
Yeah.
Are they, do we want to have them answer?
Yep.
Yeah, let them answer. Yep, go ahead.
Yep. I think, are the answers going to?
Yep. So we got 6 participants typing right now.
So
we'll start to see
what
those
benefits
coming through.
does creating a culture of empowerment provide? I'll pop up. It may be coming, but one I think about that's really crucial is you get better customer service. When your people are empowered, that's going to, that's
you don't get I have to talk to my manager. Like, if they're empowered to care for the people that you're caring for, there's so much power there. And that's actually a huge satisfier, a job satisfier as well for people, being able to do that on your front lines as well.
Which leads to retention and greater job satisfaction.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, while these are kind of populating through, Jennifer, what actions can leaders take to create a more empowering environment in the workplace?
Yeah, so as an adult, I really like autonomy. I like the ability to make decisions, and I'm guessing the rest of you do as well. And one of the ways I like to extend autonomy is through experimentation. When I was at Raven, I was leading a team that was very creative. I always had lots of good ideas of ways we wanted to create new programs and do things a little differently. And when people on my team would have these ideas, we would talk about, okay, let's come up with a strategy, how we would execute that. But then to really allow them the ability to move forward with it, we would experiment with it. And we would call it a pilot. And that was one of my favorite ways is with a pilot, we can socialize it with our stakeholders without any fear or resistance that we're gonna be changing something that people felt was sacred. We really said, hey, this is gonna be for our own learning. And that allowed a lot of people to participate and give us feedback. And it was just a safe space, so we got to experiment. And related to that, I would also encourage leaders, we know it's important to ask people for input on decisions. Extend that to allow people to own the consequences of those decisions. Empower people to experiment, to learn from that experience, resist the urge as a leader to always be the safety net. Very few decisions are perfect. There's usually trade-offs, and when we can own the consequences of that, it's a great opportunity to tweak our thinking and learn from what we're doing.
Well, what it also does is it creates that safety of that tendency to have a fear of failure. We run into this a lot when we're working with our leaders. There's just this underlying culture of fear of failure. We are high performing, we want to do well, we think we can't fail. And it's just not true. And that kind of effort really connects to people at every level to say, this is our culture. If we do fail, we're going to fail forward. We're going to pick ourselves up. We're going to dust ourselves off, and we're going to learn from it, just like you said.
Absolutely. And I would say maybe 7 out of 10 times our pilots turned into the new process or the new way of doing things. So it was also innovative for the company as well.
Yeah. So Robin, I'm curious, with your time doing leadership development at Avera, what actions can individuals take to become more empowered at work?
Yeah, I love this question. A lot of my work is with people who are maybe looking to step into leadership, but honestly are doing much different work than what they signed on their original job description a year or 2, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. If you can relate to that, you just want to feel more successful in what you're doing. And so I like to tell people one-on-ones. I know that's really simple. A lot of the things that were presented in the first 2 sessions were very basic. This is really foundational things. A one-on-one seems really simple with your direct leader, but it's so powerful. And if you're not having them, to advocate, to say, hey, leader, I would really like to meet with you on a regular basis to discuss what's going on in my world, what I'd like to do professionally, how I can bring my strengths forward, how I can work on my opportunities. If you are having those, next level, what else can we do? So I advocate for that. I feel like that perpetuates, it establishes, if it's not there, a feedback culture of reciprocal, nature to say, here's what I want, here's what I need. The leader can reciprocate and say, here's what we're doing, here's how that fits. And I think there's just a beautiful opportunity there. So that's just one thing. We don't have enough time to talk about all the things that I'm really passionate about. But I love that some of the top topics, besides conflict management, handling difficult patients, handling difficult coworkers, is feedback culture. And that translates. It's one of the foundational things that we will work with leaders on. How do we shift? We know that culture is not a light switch shift. If we need to do some work in culture, it's small things consistently over time. This is a small thing that can have a huge impact. So I think that's a great segue to feedback. But we just love this topic, so let's go there.
I think it shows a great initiative too by the individuals to say, I'm interested, I'm invested in this organization and my career.
Absolutely.
Takes courage.
It does, yeah.
Yep.
And vulnerability.
And vulnerability. Psychological safety is a really important part of all of this. And a feedback culture really does embrace that. So culture feedback is also super important for the long-term success of your empowerment strategies. A culture that embraces feedback is one that truly sees it as a gift. I know that's cliche, but it's necessary for the insight that we need to grow and to continue to develop. So when I think about feedback, for most of us, it's fairly easy to give positive feedback, but some of us are a little more uncomfortable when the feedback is for improvement. And I would suggest to leaders that if you are feeling hesitant to give people feedback for their growth and for continual improvement, a couple things you can do are, first, check your intention. The intention should be one of wanting to help people be better and be successful. Approaching someone like, hey, I know you want to be successful and I want you to be successful too. Here's something I'm noticing that you might want to think about. And you use that tone of compassion that Robin talked about earlier. So it's all about a culture where people see the best in each other, they want the best for each other, and they expect the best from each other. And that is just sort of, again, the platform.
Yeah. I just like where you're going with that. To me, I always talk about this with our groups, that it's collectively raising the bar. If we have a big bar to raise, I can lift my side, but if she's not doing her part, I can give her some feedback, and then we're getting better together because of that. And if we can get our mind over the hump of what feedback is, if we understand it a little differently, if we embrace it as a gift, both being able to receive it as a gift as well as being able to give it. And I just say it has to start with the leader.
Absolutely. You model the behavior that you want to see repeated. And as individuals receiving feedback, to the best of your ability to be grateful for it. I know I prefer to know if I'm doing something that maybe isn't having the desired impact that I thought, so I can correct it, so I don't continue to perpetuate that. So really being grateful for that. Sometimes, though, we do get feedback that we disagree with or we really don't like. And in those situations, I have trained myself to pause and ask myself, where might they be right? What am I possibly doing that's giving that impression? And that has been a really great tactic for me over the last 10, 12 years or so, and I really made a conscious effort about that.
How could this be true?
Yeah.
How could this be true for them?
We all have blind spots, and sometimes even with our best intentions, just the way we're coming across maybe is not being received in the way we intend. So
I think also practice, thank you for that feedback.
Yeah, we say thank you for
thank
gifts,
you for
right?
That feedback. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. Whether we agree with it or not, thank you for that feedback.
Absolutely. And just to put a fine point on all of this, the psychological safety and the humility to receive feedback, the safety that I believe you have my back and I've got yours. That's what we mean when we talk about vulnerability-based trust, that we're really working together to support each other.
Well, we were going to have kind of a little bit of a breakout for everyone to discuss what companies can do to create that safe environment for giving and receiving feedback. But for time, I'm wondering if you could each share maybe one tip that everyone can take with them today to create that safe environment.
I've already said, I just feel like leaders need to start. And if you are, this is like a focus point for your team, your group, your organization, that's really what it takes, is to say, articulate it. We need to work on feedback. Maybe it's coming from your employee engagement results. Maybe it's just coming from word of mouth. We're going to focus on feedback this year, and I'm going to start. I'm going to ask for specific feedback. I'm going to ask you to offer it to me. Here's the mechanism I'd like to receive it, and I want to create the space for you to do that safely. And then take it from there and involve them in the process. Involve your team in the process. What does feedback look like for us? Do some polling with them. What do we need to do here?
Yeah, absolutely. I think people need to be clear on company goals and expectations. So we are operating under the same set of expectations. Recognize people's hard work. Everybody is hopefully giving their best, and to appreciate those efforts. And I think also we touched on this a little bit earlier, but to promote problem solving. If we're solving problems, we're going to need to be talking to each other, and we're going to need to be looking for ways to improve, and it just creates so many opportunities to give people feedback. So those are a few ideas.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
And there can be challenges with this process as well. So here's another Slido. If you are connected with Slido, you should have this popping up, and you can respond.
As long as you didn't close your browser on your phone,
yes.
It should still be open for you, so you should still be able to open it up.
So hopefully we can see what are challenges that you might be facing.
Yeah, as we were putting this together, we thought, even with our best intentions, sometimes we stumble. Sometimes we misstep when it comes to being an empathetic leader. And these are some common ways. We're just curious what you guys have seen. And
if there's something on this list that you're like, oh, none of those really apply, like you can shout those out as well. These were some of the more common ones we probably bubbled up as we were discussing this conversation. And I'm like, I get, these are great conversation starters. This is a great conversation to have, empathy-driven leadership. But we know that there's probably some of you out there that, yeah, but you don't know who's on my team, or yeah, but you don't understand the culture that I just inherited with this group that I've got, or this issue that's just been ongoing. And we get that. We completely understand that. So we have to acknowledge that, and we have to open that up a little bit for discussion, because this is where your collective voice comes in. What are the solutions for those scenarios? What barriers keep you from being an empathetic leader? Maybe that's a personal barrier, I just really struggle. Maybe you're a direct personality who just doesn't have time for drama. And it's you were okay, moving on. We got stuff to do. We got deadlines to meet. We got production, demands. We understand all of that. So
Yeah.
it's like trying to solve their problem. That's our my fixers. We saw you guys raise your hands.
And, you know, as we focus on accountability, active listening, emotional intelligence, really the solutions to all of these are in that empathetic leadership toolbox that we've been talking about, the trust that we create and the vulnerability that we bring. Abby and I were talking about this just a little bit ago. Business thrives on healthy relationships. And what we're really talking about here with all of this is creating healthy relationships with each other, our leadership teams, our coworkers, our customers. And if we're gonna grow, we need to change. And when you're in a healthy relationship, you're forced to change. You're forced to be more self-aware, your maturity grows, your confidence grows. Those are really good things. So if you can foster healthy relationships through everything we've been saying, that's going to pay off for your business. And more importantly, people emotionally are going to feel a lot better. The well-being is going to come with that, better mental health.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think too, it's not complicated, is it? When you break this down, I was eating up Ben's stuff this morning, and I'm just like, none of this is complicated. And it really, we overcomplicate it with our own humanity sometimes in the moment, and we're just like, I have to have a hard conversation. I don't want to. But if we remember that we're human at the end of the day, you know, Abby, I have to have a hard conversation with you. It's uncomfortable for me, but I respect you, and we both know the work that we do is important, so I have to have this hard conversation with you. Wow, Robin, can I write that down, right? We overcomplicate it with our emotions, with overthinking and all of that. So I think that Jen's right. It's that connection, human in the moment, and we have to get back to that. We have to just remember it's not that complicated, and keep it simple.
Yeah.
And I was just going to jump in and say, I think as we learned from Ben Utek too, it takes practice, right? We learn this through practice over time.
Yeah. So we were chatting in the back because we had to come over here and get our stuff ready so that our slides were up and ready for you guys and ready to go when you got here. But we were chatting about the huddle. He was talking about the huddle, right? How many of you have a huddle? Like, how many of you huddle in your teams? Yeah, we huddle every day. They do some really cool huddles with their team. Every once in a while, they have a chance to do some education. You want to talk about the huddle we talked about?
Yeah, so kind of, you know, in getting that culture together and really making sure that we're building a culture that our employees want as well. When we do have trainings and an opportunity to bring a team together, instead of just saying, how about we do this activity as a team building, we might send out an email to the participants and say, hey, here's 3 options. What would your vote be? So that way we're doing a team building activity that they want to be a part of. And we've seen just increased buy-in from doing that.
Yeah. So her example was that the one time they didn't get a choice, the person decided we're going to go to Topgolf or whatever.
Yeah, golfing.
Yeah, go golfing, which people were like, they don't really want to do that. But when they got to choose, they chose axe throwing. So how cool is that? And everybody had a great time.
It was a blast.
So I know a daily huddle looks different, but I see that as a huddle, a type of huddle. That's a culture huddle. That's building culture. That's building involvement, engagement, plugging people in. So.
I think we might have a minute or two.
Yep.
If there's any questions, does anybody want to ask a question that you would like to hear perspectives from people in the audience or us? If there's a particular challenge or topic, we went over this really fast.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many aspects to it. But if there's a burning question, yeah, go ahead.
So regarding feedback, you know, I know feedback starts with self-awareness, awareness of others, to really have that authenticity, right, when that feedback happens. If you know that person you have to give feedback to is just not in a right emotional state of mind, or maybe they don't have that self-awareness themselves, and so you know this feedback is not going to go well, right? Not that, you know, I'm a crystal ball, I know everything, but no matter how I put it, say it, bring forth, you know where they're at, and so that feedback is not going to go well. And maybe I would know, I'm stepping into a danger zone here.
See, I knew we'd have a yabbit. There's always the yabbits. Yeah, but I have this person who can't receive feedback. So,
And the problem is that in that situation, our tendency is just to avoid the conversation, right?
Yes, which we shouldn't do.
Right.
One suggestion.
Well, as say, or we're telling ourselves a story in the head about how that's going to go. So we need to, number one, kind of pull back from that and go, what's the outcome? What are my goals here? How do I create a space for them to bring their perspective forward into the conversation as well? Because that's often what's needed to create that safety to move forward into the actual feedback. But yeah, Jen, sorry, I kind of interrupted you.
No, you were going right where I was, and exactly to that point. Start by asking them a question about their perspective. For whatever the topic is that you're giving feedback on, tell me how you think things are going. You know, I know you want to be successful. I want you to be successful too. I want to best support you. What's your perception of how things are going? And really make sure you know where they're coming from. And that's where that active listening comes in. Non-judgment, just open-ended questions. That'll give you a better sense of how to proceed. And if the feedback that you're giving can be given from your firsthand observation, that's really critical too. We don't want to get in a conversation with someone and say, well, I've heard, people are saying. That's going to put people on the defensive right away. And depending on their response, well, what do you think the impact of that is? Are there other ways that this could be presented? You know, involve them in the solution.
It's valid, right? Her example is valid. Yeah, there's some nuts. You're not alone.
Any other thoughts on that?
Can we get, Riley, can we get some chocolate up here
Get
too?
some chocolate.
Yeah,
That was a great question.
Yeah, right here.
On our team, sometimes when I have to have a difficult conversation, my team knows that it's called standing in the truth.
I love
Oh,
that.
I like that.
Standing in the truth, we know that there's something that's affecting the cohesiveness of the team. Generally is one-on-one, and I will say the truth as I see it, and I ask them to do this. But ultimately, I'm responsible for the cohesiveness of the team. But it's not threatening, and maybe they just don't see it that way, but it's a glimpse into how they're being pursued by the team. So in my team, standing the truth, people know what that means.
Oh, I'm stealing that.
I love that.
Can I steal that?
Yeah.
I love that. And that connects to like clear is kind, right? We aren't being kind if we don't acknowledge what's going on the other side of that conversation. And you know that I think that's a beautiful way to do that. Standing in the truth. This is where I'm coming from.
Yeah. And the truth is somewhere in between. As I stand in my truth, you stand in yours. And now that we know where we're coming from, all right, how do we work together to get the cohesiveness? That's going to require probably some compromise. If there are expectations that cannot be compromised, then it's also having the courage and empathy to help understand that we need to be accountable for the role that we're playing here in the company. You know, sometimes not all opinions and ideas can be accommodated, and as long as we understand the reasons for that, we can move forward together.
I think when I have had to coach people off the team, and we've had like the fourth standing in the truth conversation, they know that we tried.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. At times you got to make that hard decision. Maybe it just isn't the right fit. But I always feel that in this situation, it sounds like it's a choice they've made. If it's a change a person can't make or get on board with, then please go in peace and find a place where you can be successful.
Well, and that's what it made me think of, like to circle us all the way back to the beginning. This is about humanity in the moment, and you know, really creating an opportunity for that person to see the world, you know, as you're seeing it, and vice versa. When we're talking about hard conversations, standing in the truth, anything, it's like, to me, I go two-way. It has to be, you know, reciprocal. It can't be me just dumping on you and then you have to deal with the mess. So that ultimately connects back to just what Jen said, accountability, engagement, retention, it's all interwoven. So I think empathy-driven leadership is just something that needs to permeate how we're doing business now and into the future with our workforce needs and where we're going. It's just a mission critical for us right now. So,
yeah.
Any
have
a question?
One more.
So one thing with feedback is the image you use is a circle, and I think a lot of people should do that because if it's just continuous, it never ends. So I have to use a roundabout. Eventually, you have to get off the circle. You have to show where it went. And so one thing that we've started doing is like this came out because of feedback, or I as a leader or we as a company made this change because this is what you gave us. So if we never show that part of it, a lot of people start to feel disengaged.
Yeah.
All I'm doing is giving you feedback. You're getting feedback, and if it never ends, you got to show where it's actually looking to.
He gets 2 chocolates. That's really good. I love that. Something we use in our leadership, and a lot of our leaders use it, is a stoplight report. So as we engage in one-on-ones and as we bring feedback forward, or we have ideas, or we have questions, the green is yeah, that's a great idea. Let's move forward with that. The yellow is I'm not sure. We need to research. We need to do some work. The red is no, not right now, and this is why. And a lot of times we put those up in public areas in the team spaces so they see these are all the conversations that are happening at the one-on-one level. These are the ideas the team is springing forth through that connection with their leader. So it's a huge opportunity. We have some leaders who are remote, and so they have a digital version. We have some who are on campus. They have it posted in their break room. So it's a great opportunity to do just that, to connect. Here's what you guys are saying. Here's what we're doing about it. Here's what's connecting to the work that we're doing. I think that's a huge opportunity.
Yeah.
I really enjoy the roundabout as well because
the
you're tracking what you're gaining from that process as well.
Yeah.
Right. You're discussing the benefits of it with your team. I think we had
one question here too.
I heard at one of these events a while ago something that stuck with me, that I have to look at those conversations not as confrontations, but that we're coming together to solve a problem.
Yeah.
But whatever's happening with that person, with the actions that are there, it's blocking something. It's blocking their success or their cohesiveness or their ability to move forward. It's blocking something. And so actually addressing that is kind of back to the clearest time point. Addressing that gives them the opportunity to do better.
Yeah,
absolutely. Hopefully in their own eyes, to do better, to be more effective, to whatever the goal is.
And from the leader perspective, I'm sitting with and not across from. I love that. I love the visual. I'm a visual person, so I love all those.
Yeah. When you're successful, we're all successful.
That's right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
all conflict should be for getting better. We have to debate ideas and opinions. Can't let it get personal. And when there is a personal behavior change needed, then yeah, we want to know that because then that is within our power to change that perception, to do better. But yes, like we said, it has to be viewed as a gift. It has to be a safe space. And it has to be given with compassion and for that betterment.
One more question or comment?
I always tell my team, we talk a lot about fight or flight, and so giving and having those conversations, initiating it, can trigger my fight or flight, and it takes courage, but also receiving it. So one of the things that I strive with my team to do is stay curious, right? Tell me more about that.
Yeah.
But then also recognizing when is my fight or flight. I go in, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's not going to go very well, and then I'm all hyped, and then
that's what she was talking about.
But being aware of that has really helped my team, and it's also I tell them prepare your heart, right? So okay, here comes some tough stuff. Take a deep breath. Help me to be open, because when my fight or flight's triggered, then I'm not able to really receive it, right? I'm on the defensive. But that's normal too. And so the more that we talk about that with my team outside of those tough conversations, it's easier to remember in the midst of it. Tell me more about that. To stay curious, and also when I'm giving the feedback, how can I stay curious with what they have to say so that I can be receptive as well?
What's great about that is you're leading with your humanity, and I think that's a shift. We need to see that keep going because it doesn't have to be. I have to be a robot as a leader, that I have no emotion and I don't have any response. I'm just clear, cool, calm, and collected all the time. It's not true. We are people. We are humans. We have thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and that's okay. Do we need self-control? Yes. But if we articulate some of those things that you just talked about, you're showing so much more authenticity and credibility as a leader for your team. So kudos to you. That's a great example.
And that preparation outside of the moment is wonderful because your teaching is self-awareness and self-management. Let's talk about it when emotions aren't high, and let's rehearse that and prepare for that. Excellent. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming and joining the session today, and thank you to Jennifer and Robin for sharing your knowledge. Yeah. We have a handout in the back that Jennifer and Robin put together and has their email address on there as well. So if you are leaving and you think of additional questions, please feel free to reach out.
Yeah, please do. Thank you guys. You're a great
See you at the
audience.
rest of the event.